Good morning to everybody. How you doing? Hope all's well. Keep up the beautiful work. Be'ezrat Hashem, Yitbarach v'Turma. May Am Yisrael hear good news in every way possible. Hajj, just like with Mitzrayim, Hashem redeemed us in four different possible ways. He took us out spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and physically. He took us out in every way possible. Did you ever wonder? He when he spoke to Moshe, he said four terminologies how we're going to leave Mitzrayim, and that's one of the reasons why we have the four cups of wine on Pesach. Why does Hashem have to use four different terminologies? We know in Hebrew, every word, it might have the same English translation sometimes, but it doesn't mean the same thing. So Hashem, when he said four different terminologies, he was taking us out in every way possible. The Zohar tells us that unfortunately the Mitzrayim put spiritual handcuffs on our neshama. Believe it or not, that's how powerful they were with black magic. Imagine, and they held our souls in captivity, and that's why we weren't able to grow spiritually, and it was very bad. And when Hashem took us out, he broke those too. And the Zohar writes that Hashem said he will never let anyone touch the soul again. In Mitzrayim, they were able to put shackles on our soul, but that's it. And we should only have good things. Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach. As we mentioned in the past, there were hostages that went into captivity. Shema Yisrael, and Hashem should bring them all home, and our soldiers all home. Be'ezrat Hashem. But some of them kept emunah, something unfathomable. One found a bottle of grape juice, and he used it, and it lasted like the miracle of Hanukkah. I don't think a guy who's tormented for over 400 days by the wicked Rishaim, Yimach Shemam, and he's going to come out making up stories, obviously. These are the things that happen while we were in there, and a mother wouldn't let her child come home on Shabbat, believe it or not, so not to desecrate the Shabbat. So they might capture the body, but they will never capture the soul. And Bezrat Hashem, they will never capture the body as well by all of us learning Torah so beautifully. So Hashem took us out in such a beautiful way. Any disease anyone had, they got healed by Har Sinai. We came out with great wealth. Baruch Hashem. Hashem says, "Kol mahala shesamti b'Mitzrayim lo asim alecha." All of the above should take fruition to manifest on Am Yisrael, and everything should be good. Be'ezrat Hashem. So there's a lot of different halachot this year than every other year. So instead of saying, why is this night different than all the other nights, you could also say, why is this year different than all the other years? And the answer is number one. I don't know if we mentioned, but the halakha tells us regarding the fast of the firstborn. Why do the firstborns fast at all? And the answer is because if someone was saved by the skin of their teeth, God should protect us all always, then they can't sit there and forgetting about God and delving into worldly pleasures. Obviously, it was for a reason. Even our president, when he got shot and he got saved, he says, God put me here for a reason. How much more so do we have to say, God put us and saved us for a reason? So the firstborns, Erev Pesach, have a custom that they fast. However, a few things. Number one, to go into the holiday fasting is a roughie. You don't want to go in cranky. That's number one. Number two, it is the month of Nisan, where the whole entire month is a happy month. So we make an easy loophole for the people who do fast, for the firstborns, to partake in a Brit Milah, to partake in a Seudat Mitzvah. And of course, if there's no Brit Milah and the other Seudat Mitzvah, so we have a Siyum Masechet. People finish a whole Gemara and they finish. When they finish, they make a seudah. We speak about it in the summertime this year. There's no more 9 days, Be'ezrat Hashem, no more Sha'abob. But some people make sketch siyumim over there in Never Neverland, not anywhere we know. But of course, over here, the seudot are legitimate, and someone who is a firstborn takes part in the seudah, and they don't have to fast. One time, a kid from Wisconsin called me up, a teenager. He woke up at about 11:30. Oh, Rabbi, by mistake, I just woke up. I said, not bad. You're doing better. In the old days, you got up later than 11:30, but it must be you went to sleep early. He said, yeah, I did go to sleep early the night before, 2 nights ago, Shema Israel. One time I was in Neverland, and a kid woke up Saturday morning, and I saw he still had his school clothes on. He came home right after school Friday, went to Nam in his clothes, and woke up Saturday morning. Baruch Hashem. Thank God he was feeling good. Otherwise, God, we don't judge anyway. We don't judge. But that was in Neverland. Long story short, he wakes up late. He says, "What do I do? Do I have to fast?" And I said, 100%. You still have to fast. Halachically, believe it or not, there's no more siyumim, there's no more brisses. You're a big boy. You got to learn accountability. So thank God, out of responsibility, when I told him he has to fast for the rest of the day, Shema Israel, he went back to sleep and woke up right before the holiday. This way, the fast won't bother him. Better than that. But anyway, long story short, some when they take part in a seudat mitzvah, chalas, they don't have to fast. But this year, the fast falls out on Shabbat Kodesh. And since Erev Pesach is on Shabbat Kodesh, they do not have to fast. And since they do not have to fast, they're good. However, it is the custom of the Ashkenaz to move the fast day to Thursday, which is in a couple of days, and they have to partake in a siyum on that day. Hamavadia says the halacha is like Maran Shulchan Aruch, where the fast is, that's it, it's a null, there's no problem. However, why not get extra credit, and why not partake in a seudat mitzvah on Thursday? You don't lose anything, and therefore the rabbi says if you can, try to go on Thursday morning to the knis with a seudat mitzvah. However, the girls that are firstborns, sometimes the father brings them to shul, and sometimes, the most of the time, the father brings back home cookies and grape juice for the from the seudah. This year, they don't have to do that for the girl, because the girl, like we said, it's all pushed off anyway. And as it is, technically, girls aren't don't really have to partake in it. So this year, even more. So, like we said, if there is someone, a few people, God should protect everyone wherever they go. They should travel safely, come back safely. Inshallah, we'll all go to Yerushalayim Hamnuyah. But someone told me he's traveling early Thursday morning and getting there to where his destination is, so there's no seudah. So, and since he's from Sephardic tradition, he's good with just a way, because, like we said, it's pushed off on Saturday. So Thursday night, we are going to make Bedikat Hametz. Sunset is at 7:30. Bedikat Hametz is 7:50. In the old days in Brooklyn, New York, there was mayhem in all the restaurants on the night of Bedikat Hametz, because, first of all, years ago, people didn't really go away Passover time. That's number one. And number two, there weren't as many restaurants, and there was no Uber Eats back then. So there was chaos because the houses are Hametz, and as every single kid, and maybe adult even, says on every day of Pesach, there's nothing to eat, there's nothing to eat. So they go out for dinner that night, and the lines are chaotic. But nowadays, Baruch Hashem, people go away, they should be safe, and they should have good luck, and whatever it is. But the halakha tells us that a half hour before the time of checking, which means the time of checking is 7:50, as we mentioned, which is 20 minutes after sunset. So a half hour before that is 7:20. From 7:20, there's no eating mizonot, 2 ounces or more, or especially hamotzi, 2 ounces or more, because we don't start a seudah within the half hour before doing a mitzvah. We will talk about the Omer Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach in another class regarding some people run home to make kiddush at a certain time. Some people run over the guy in the street and he says Shabbat Shalom, and they just mow him down because they got to get home at a certain time. So it's a little taken too much out of context, but we'll talk about it then, Be'ezrat Hashem. So long story short, there's no eating seudah 20 half hour before the time of checking, which is 7:50. Now the halacha is mentioned in the Gemara. We use a candle to check the hametz in the home. Number one, we all know the reason why they instituted checking at nighttime. You would think you should check in the daytime, and the answer is it's better to check at night for checking purposes, because when you put a flashlight under a bed in a dark room, that you're able to see, the light is even more concentrated at night than it is in the daytime, and you're able to see if the kid left a Kit Kat or a licorice underneath his bed still from Simchat Torah. You know, we mentioned in the class in Knis the other day how Batya Alav Shalom didn't do anything for himself. He was a true king. He was a true king in the eyes of heaven and earth. And because he was a true king, or he learned Torah 1,000,000 hours a day, he didn't do anything. He didn't wrap his own tefillin. The boys wrapped it for him. His talet, he didn't even, we opened his tefillin and put it on his arm, and then he pulled it and made the beracha. He didn't know how to make tea, didn't know how to do anything. If it wasn't for the laws of Shabbat, he would have no idea how to make tea, and he didn't make tea his entire life. Everything he did was learn Torah 1,000,000 hours a day. You know, sometimes you have from Neverland a few people that want to argue on Hamavadia, and if they have proof, of course, it's very hard for me to believe someone could have proof against Hamavadia when he had 45,000 Sefarim in his home and he knew every Sefer and everything. But one time someone was arguing. I said, okay, no problem. Do you know how to drive a car? He said, yeah. I said, so you took the time to go practice driving, to go get yourself a license, wait online, and all of the above. And he was learning at that time, right? All Hamavadia ever did was learn Torah. So you would think the night of checking the Hametz, you would think that he himself would make the beracha, check a couple of closets, and make the kids check the entire house, and he'll learn in the meantime. Believe it or not, it took Hamavadia close to 3 hours to check his house for hametz. Now in Israel, most people live in apartments, and thank you Hashem, he had a bigger apartment. Kol hamekayem et haTorah ba'oni, sofo lekayema be'osher. And no one studied Torah in our generation. I can't say no one, I'm not 1,000,000,000% sure, but the poverty Hamavadia had, and he still continued learning, obviously that's true oni, and that's why he was Kol HaMekayem et HaTorah ba'oni sofo lekayema be'osher. Long story short, you would think an apartment, the way we check around here, it would take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, It took the rabbi 3 hours, and he didn't let anyone check. He was the one who checked. He went under the beds. He was peeking under the cabinets, and he was doing everything. And they're like, Dad, what are you doing? We'll do it for you. We'll do it for you. And he said, absolutely not. This is a mitzvah, and I have to do it myself. He said that, and we know that the mitzvah b'dikah hametz weakens the yetzer hara. And the Ben Ish Hai, alav shalom, writes that you're supposed to carry salt with you when you're making the b'dikah. You don't have to if you don't want to, but he said because the yetzer hara doesn't want you to be successful in checking because it makes him weaker. So to keep him away, we carry salt. We know salt keeps away the yetzer hara. The goyim with salt over the shoulder and all of that, they got everything from us. We don't have bread without salt because, like we said, to chase away the Yetzer Hara. So the night of checking the Hametz is a huge, very important night, and we can't belittle it. Even though God bless our wives, they clean so beautifully, God should give them all strength. However, we still have to clean because you never know. Maybe the kid took a candy, maybe the thing, maybe this, maybe that. So Baruch Hashem, we checked the house, and that's one of the reasons why we put out the 10 pieces of bread. There's two reasons why we put out the pieces of bread. Reason number one is because we make the beracha, Asher Kiddishanu Tzotav Tzivanu, al bi'ur hametz, burning the hametz. If you don't find anything, then what are you going to burn? So it's like a person made a beracha that was extra, that was beracha levatala, and therefore we put bread around, and he finds that bread, and this way it's not a beracha levatala. And there's another reason, because we think everything is clean, so we wouldn't open the drawers, we wouldn't look here, we wouldn't look there. So with the 10 pieces around, we do look everywhere to look for the 10 pieces. That's why you're not supposed to hide the pieces yourself, because you know where they are. And also recommended for the kids or whoever it is that does hide the 10 pieces to write it down. Mashallah. The kids have a lot on their mind. It's not easy living in the year 2025. They're worried about their Amazon packages. They're worried about the Uber Eats. They're worried about Fortnightmare, about Among Us, and all of the above, Baruch Hashem. So recommended for the children or whoever's hiding it to write it down. We also know that when we do wrap the hametz, because no way are we allowing hametz to get crummy around the house. Ma'arvachnu. So the women of today, number one, you're supposed to take a piece smaller than a kizayit, because if someone does forget it and can't find it, at least it's less than a kizayit. It's less of a problem on Passover. Number two, because they don't want crumbs all over the house, what do? The women take 90 miles of tinfoil and wrap a little tiny piece of bread. Heck, and now the pieces are the size of I was going to say a tennis ball, more like a bowling ball. And they're all over the house. So now the next day, Friday morning, Shalom Salameh, when we throw the bread into the fire, there's so much tinfoil that it won't catch fire. So you're not even really burning the hametz, and therefore try to do it in a way that you know that the bread is going to get burnt the next day. Now you're allowed to destroy hametz in any fashion, as long as it's not edible for a dog. You're allowed to spray Windex on it, etc. You're allowed to throw it into the ocean for those going away, and we have an ocean here too as well. One guy, his wife said, take me to the islands. He said, yalla, we're going to Staten Island, Long Island, alahani alarasi. My pleasure. So you could throw it into the ocean because it becomes unedible, and it's also public property and it doesn't belong to you anymore. But why do we go out of our way to burn it if you really don't have to burn it? And the answer is because it represents the Yetzer Hara, so we burn it because we want to burn the Yesara and all his cronies. So we burn it for the people who put the barbecue fluid on the bread beforehand. Don't put it directly on the bread, because if you put it directly on the bread, then it's already unedible. You don't gain anything by burning it. So you put it on the cardboard or the Walgreens brochures that they throw on your front steps that we use for. That's why Hashem made them. This way we could use them for burning the hametz. There's a misconception as well when it comes to the lulav. People think we're burning the lulav. We're not burning the lulav. What did the lulav do wrong that we're burning the lulav? What are we doing when we put the lulav? We're using the lulav as firewood to burn the hametz, because we like to go from one mitzvah to another. Now, certain times you can't mix two mitzvot, but of course, since we don't use the lulav anyway, so of course to use it for one mitzvah to another is a special thing. So make sure we keep that in mind. So we made a beracha al biur hametz for the checking of the hametz, and we go around looking for the pieces and make sure they are small pieces. Do you have to check pockets and knapsacks that night? And the answer is, survey says, yes and no. That night you don't have to, but you do have to check them before. Some people walk around with 1,000 Ricolas in their pocket, and they might have 27 sweaters. So you have to check all the pockets of the coats, of the items, but it doesn't have to be the night of B'dikah HaMetz. I'm sure already, the God bless the women of our lives, they're checking all these things already, the backpacks, etc. Sometimes the mother finds a tuna fish sandwich that she made for the kid for Pesach time, Sukkot time, and he still has it in his backpack. MashaAllah, you can make Birkat Ilanot on all the things that grow out of the kid's sandwich that's in his backpack for all those months. But anyway, we do have to clean out the pockets. We do have to clean out the backpacks, but you do not have to clean them out and check them the night of B'dikat Hametz. The next morning, we get up Friday morning and we burn the Hametz by 11 o'clock as well, 11:21, I think it is, the same time as every year. Even though it looks a little funny, because we're allowed to still have Hametz Friday night. You're allowed to still have Hametz Saturday morning up until 10:05. So why do we need to burn the hametz before 11:20? And the answer is, if someone's going to burn it at 3 in the afternoon, there's going to be a genius of geniuses. How you doing? That's going to see, and he's going to next year say, I don't know what everyone's rushing for. I saw last year the rabbi doing it at 3 o'clock, and therefore, because of that, so we still have to do it earlier, Be'ezrat Hashem. Now, it's possible that someone, as mentioned, will not have any hametz after that. Some people don't let hametz in the house. So what do we do this year? We have Friday and Friday night, you have to make hamotzi, and Shabbat day. And what do we do? So we mentioned, but just a quick recap. Friday night, if your house is hametz free, you're allowed to have matzah and make hamotzi, but that's Friday night only. Saturday morning, even if you're eating at 7 a.m., you're not allowed to have matzah. So either someone wakes up and has bread before 10 and flushes the rest down the toilet, or Windexes it and throws it in the garbage. You're good if you do that. But like we said, if someone doesn't want to have any bread in his home, so we mentioned, and we'll repeat it quickly, that if you have a whole slice of, let's say, a square matzah, you could fry it, pan fry it, or dip it in the soup on Friday, pull it out whole, let it dry. That is hamotzi on Saturday morning. Plus, it's also allowed to be eaten on Shabbat, because that you're not allowed to have that for the night of the Seder. If you have any questions, please call your local rabbi or whatever rabbi it might be. But Baruch Hashem, Am Yisrael is making Hashem proud. There's so many questions being asked. You have 1,000 rabbis, thank you Hashem, and you have 1,000 people asking each rabbi Yishtabach Shemo questions. So it's a beautiful thing. Inshallah, the learning Torah and the Yirat Shamayim that the people have should be a blessing for Am Yisrael, and may we only see good things and Besorot Tovot, and Hashem will redeem us with the ultimate Geulah this year, Bekarov, and we'll all be in Yerushalayim Hamnuyah. Have the best day. Take care. All the best. Bye.